and I turned up, and it was just a sports hall, like a rec centre sports hall, and there was some rolled out judo mats, no ring, and some crash mats, and some gymnastic boxes to jump off to do high flying stuff, and that was it.
Who was it who actually ended up training you? And I'm curious about like who you were training with.
Okay, so at the start, it was a guy called Kevin O'Neill.
Okay.
Um, and I mean, like I wouldn't give him the credit for training me because I learned the very basics there. So I learned how to take your back bumps and do your basic moves. I didn't really learn the art of professional wrestling there, but you know, I'm not going to discredit him. That was my into the business, and I started again doing my training, started doing some shows. So that's where I started. And as far as who I was training with back then, the the people who kind of came through would have been there's a couple of guys on the UK scene called the Hunter Brothers. They were there, and Joel Allen, who used to referee for NXT UK, he was there. And really, apart from that, nobody else came through and had any kind of distinguished career, really.
What was the average training like at that point? Because you talked about just doing the basics, so I'm guessing a lot of rolls, a lot of bumps, maybe some chaining.
Yeah, so it was essentially, it was 5 hours. We used to train for on a Sunday once a week, and it would be a kind of little stretch, couple of laps of the hall to get warmed up. Start your rolling, um, then just practicing your bumps, and then we'd practice a few move techniques, some hip tosses, body slams, and at first you practice them on the big crash mats, the thick crash mats, but after that we're then doing it on the judo mats, and it would I mean, it was the judo mats was just rolled out, and it was just one on top of the other. And while you got your wrestling boots on or your amateur boots on, and you're kind of running around and kind of moving and stuff like that to emulate being in the ring or doing your moves and chaining them together and things like that. And the mats used to move and expose the wooden floor.
Ooh.
So there was loads of times you'd end up taking a bump and just bumping on a wooden floor, which was always a lovely surprise for you.
Now, back
Uh,
then, oh, sorry to interrupt.
no, it's fine. Go on.
Well, what I was going to say is back then, I know physically you weren't as strong and as big as you became later on. So at that time, like, was it more difficult? Because I don't know specifically then if maybe you got smaller later, but was it difficult for you at that time with a smaller frame?
No, not really. I mean, I said this years ago to someone. In terms of professional wrestling, I would have walked through fire to be a professional wrestler.
Mm.
So nothing was ever going to stop me. Um, my size, I mean, I was a little bit smaller, but not drastically smaller. But I was very, as a human being, as a man, when you're only 16, 17,
Yeah.
you're not fully developed. So it can be a little bit more punishing. But I don't know, your body becomes callous to professional wrestling, and the more you do it after a certain amount of time, a bump's a bump and you don't really feel it. And then later on in your career, when you go on to do something to crowds and big crowds and exciting opportunities and things like that, the adrenaline takes over, and it doesn't hurt.